Minasama, konnichiwa. Hey everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is my very first podcast, and today we're going to be working on "あいさつ," or greetings in Japanese. Okay, well, to start out, and I think many of you probably already know this word, the word for good morning in Japanese is Ohayo. That's right, it's pronounced just like the state. So just try saying the word Ohayo as if you were saying hello. Ohayo. All right, now you give it a try. Ohayo. Great. Now just saying Ohayo is a perfectly good way of saying good morning. But one thing that I need to mention about Japanese is that Japanese has different levels of politeness. In other words, there are different ways of saying the same thing depending on whether you're talking to someone you know really well or to someone you know like your little brother or your kid versus whether you were talking to your boss or an acquaintance you don't know very well. You're probably going to be a little bit more polite with your boss than you would with your little brother, right? So just like that, in Japanese, you're going to use slightly different words. So if you're just talking to your little brother in the morning, you're going to say Ohayo. But if you see your boss in the morning, you might want to not just say Ohayo. It's better to use a slightly more polite version of the word, which would be the word Ohayo, and then after it you tack another word on, gozaimasu. The word then would be Ohayo gozaimasu. Now, don't worry too much about what gozaimasu means. Basically, it is a humble word that you just tack onto the end of some things, okay? We'll go more into that later, but for now that's enough. So, Ohayo gozaimasu is how you would say good morning in a polite way. All right, now you give it a try. Ohayo gozaimasu. Great. Now I'm going to teach you one more word that uses gozaimasu to make it more polite. The word for thank you in Japanese is arigato. Arigato. You may have heard it. And just like Ohayo, which means good morning, arigato alone means thank you. But if you just say arigato, that's the way you would say thank you to a friend or to someone you're close to. If you're talking to your boss or to someone you don't know very well, it's safer to, again, add gozaimasu to the end. So you'd say, arigato gozaimasu. All right, give it a try. Arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu. Okay? Great. So just like that, you already know 4 words in Japanese. Ohayo, ohayo gozaimasu. Arigato, arigato gozaimasu. So, next, and this is another word that I bet you already know, or that you've at least heard. The word for good afternoon in Japanese is konnichiwa. You've probably heard it as konnichiwa, right? Maybe. Well, that's basically right, but just put a little bit, it's better to pronounce it correctly, to hold the in the middle just a little bit longer, so you say konnichiwa. Okay, now give it a try. Konnichiwa. Great. Now you have good morning, Ohayo or Ohayo gozaimasu. You have good afternoon, konnichiwa. And then there's one more word that means good evening, konbanwa. Now, konnichiwa and konbanwa are related words. The only difference is konnichiwa has nichi in the middle, which means day. Konbanwa has ban in the middle, which means night. So you have konnichiwa for the day, konbanwa for the evening. Okay? So, try to say konbanwa. Okay? Ready? Give it a try. Konbanwa. Great. So let's go through these again. Ohayo. Ohayo gozaimasu. Konnichiwa. Konbanwa. Excellent. Let's also do thank you. Okay? Arigato. Arigato gozaimasu. Great. Now I'm going to teach you one more word before we sign out. All right? This one is good night. In other words, good night right before you go to sleep. Konbanwa means good evening. When you see someone and it, around dinner time, you're out on the town, whatever. You say konbanwa if you see someone, right? Now when you're going to sleep and you say good night, there's a different word. And that word, and this sounds hard, I know, oyasumi nasai. Okay? Now, this sounds difficult, but the word in the middle, but basically, let's break it up a little bit. Oyasumi nasai, in the middle, is yasumi, okay? Yasumi means to rest. Now, when you're telling someone else to rest, it's more polite to add an o before it. It's an honorific. So you'd say oyasumi. Then at the end, you add nasai, which is an imperative, okay? So you're telling someone to take a rest. So you'd say oyasumi nasai. Okay, let's give it a try. Oyasumi nasai. I know this is difficult, but we will practice more later. I fear that my phone is almost out of memory, so I'm going to have to sign out. But thank you so much for listening in, and I hope to see you next time. All right, bye.